ambulances? Are you concerned about lives being lost by what you're doing?
Well, the whole reason we're doing this is because we're concerned about the lives of the
But
British
you get the
people.
irony that if you're actually stopping... My question remains, though, with you. Where is your moral line with this? You say you want to save lives, and yet your actions are bordering on potentially costing lives. You cannot get in the way of emergency services in the way that you're doing.
Why are we concentrating on such a small bit of disruption?
You think it's small?
A bit of traffic disruption is nothing in comparison to what's coming here, and you know it. You know it.
You think...
I value everyone's life. We all value everyone's life.
Absolutely. Stop lying in front of emergency services.
Look, for the record, book.
I don't think
the
it does.
Suffragettes.
It doesn't work.
Were highly disruptive. Civil rights movement, highly disruptive. Gay rights, highly disruptive. You know it works. You're a journalist. You know, if we have food shortages, that leads to riots and civilizational collapse.
This is nonsense.
I'm sorry.
Why do you want to protest in front of people?
Because we have no choice. Because we're in a dire situation.
人の命を救うために人の命を犠牲にする、こんな支離滅裂な迷惑行為をする団体がイギリスにいるんですよ。どうもこんにちは、エリタです。前回に引き続き Just Stop Oil の話ですね。どういう団体か説明しますと、彼らは石油使用やめろって叫びながら店で牛乳をまき散らしたり、あの偉大なゴッホの絵に美術館でインクをぶちまけたり、報道の真ん中で垂れ幕を持って座り込んで道行く車を邪魔する団体なんですね。今回の動画なんですけど、救急車や消防車などの緊急車両を邪魔した頭のおかしい団体がいるで、イギリス中で話題になったんですよ。で、イギリス国民が怒り浸透した団体の代表を番組に招待したってことでバズった動画があるんですけど、その際の様子を翻訳しましたので、皆さんで一緒に見ていきましょう。ではどうぞ。
Welcome back for now to protesters from Just Stop Oil, who spent 11 days demonstrating in London, blocking roads, throwing paint at shops and restaurants. Today, a fire engine and an ambulance were briefly caught up in their blockade, prompting the British government to say this kind of protest isn't acceptable. Well, Jenny Cleveland's still with me. I'm joined by the Talk TV contributor Richard Tice, and from Just Stop Oil, James Skeet. Mr. Skeet, welcome. Thank you very much for coming in. Appreciate it. At what point, when you're blocking fire engines and ambulances, are you concerned about lives being lost by what you're doing?
Well, the whole reason we're doing this is because we're concerned about the lives of the British
people. But you get the
people.
irony that if you're actually stopping ambulances and fire engines going to save people's lives, they may actually die because of your protest.
Well, actually, we have a blue light policy. We let through every emergency vehicle.
But you didn't know,
and
did you?
If you actually cared to run the whole footage there, you'd see that that ambulance is advised by one of our people to avoid the roadblock. And
why don't you do the sensible thing and just get out of the way? You have absolutely no right to obstruct other people's daily lives. You have the right to protest on the side of the street. You are unlawfully in the middle of the street. It's utterly outrageous. It's selfish, and you are putting people's lives at risk.
I appreciate your frustration. I understand that. I empathise with that. But look, we are demanding that the government halt any new licensing and consents for any fossil fuel exploration in the UK. Now, you know that needs to happen. I know that needs to happen. It does need to happen.
It doesn't need to happen.
Look,
we need fossil fuels.
If we need to ensure...
There are billions of people living on this planet.
The United Nations and the International Energy Agency agree with me on this.
Leading longer, happier, healthier lives because of cheap energy from fossil fuels. You
can't get cheaper than free, all right? Okay? Renewables are 9 times cheaper than fossil fuels.
Renewables are not free. We spend 15 billion subsidising renewables in this country.
We spend £236 million a week subsidising the fossil fuel industry.
Sorry, James.
What you're saying is a lie.
Just to bring you back, it's actually my show and I'm doing the interview with you.
I know, Piers. I'll happily talk to you.
Well jumped in, Mr. Tice. And by the way, he's not frustrated. He's furious, right? My question remains, though, with you. Where is your moral line with this? You say you want to save lives, and yet your actions are bordering on potentially costing lives. You cannot get in the way of emergency services in the way that you're doing. And if you do want to, explain the moral difference between what you're doing and what you complain everyone's doing about the planet.
Well, I mean, let's look. If we want to talk about disruption, and earlier
I want to talk to you about the. I want you to answer the question.
40 degrees C. Right. As a result of that, the fire brigade, the London Fire Brigade, had their busiest day since the Blitz. Okay, 60 UK families lost their houses in wildfires. Why are we not talking about the big picture? Why are we concentrating on such a small bit of disruption?
You think it's small?
A bit of traffic disruption is nothing in comparison to what's coming here, and you know it.
James,
you know it.
You think it's small I say to you, you have no idea the damage you're doing when you get in the way of emergency services.
As I say, we have a blue light policy.
My question is,
no emergency vehicles being held.
Why are the lives of the people who you're putting at risk by stopping those fire engines?
Why are you manipulating your audience?
Let me finish my question.
Why are you misframing
Let me finish
something?
my question. Why are the lives of the people whose lives may be affected by your actions today, why are they less important to you than the lives that you say will be cost by not taking climate change more seriously?
I value everyone's life. We all value everyone's life. Absolutely.
Stop lying in front of emergency services.
For the record, I agree with you. I think it's ridiculous that it's down to nurses, doctors, bartenders and whatnot to be going out in the street and demanding what the government should just be doing anyway, right? This is a no-brainer.
Yeah, but James, just on the side.
All right, let's bring in Jenny.
Because it wouldn't work.
Wait. I'm not saying I'm against your cause. I'm really getting against your methodology.
But it works, doesn't it?
I don't think it does.
Open a history book.
I don't think it does.
The suffragettes.
It doesn't work.
We're highly disruptive. Civil rights movement, highly disruptive. Gay rights, highly disruptive. You know it works. You're a journalist. You've done your research. You know this.
Let me finish.
We wouldn't be on here if this disruption hadn't happened.
Let me answer.
Would we?
I don't think it works when you're lying in front of emergency services. I don't. You will lose the British public. My concern for you guys is that you keep thinking any disruption is valid and any disruption works. And I'm saying to you, yes, you're on this show, but you're on this show because people are absolutely furious that you got in the way of ambulances and fire engines. And I say you can do both, can't you? You can make vociferous protests, but you don't have to get in the way of things that are saving people's lives.
Why don't you tell your audience about the actual disruption that's coming down the line? Why don't you bring qualified climate scientists on here to explain what civilizational collapse looks like, all right? We've lost a third of our wheat yields this year. We're projected to lose 50% of our potato harvest. If it's this bad in 2022, how bad is it going to be in 2050? You know, if we have food shortages, that leads to riots and civilizational collapse. I'm sorry, but you're objectively wrong. You're objectively wrong, and you are lying. You are lying. Our wheat yields are down a third.
Agricultural yields across the whole of the world
40 degrees C in this country.
And it was lovely. It meant I didn't have to go abroad.
It hit 40. You deranged. It hit 40 degrees C.
Are you selfish? Why do you want to protest in front of people?
Because we have no choice. Because we're in a dire situation, and you need to pay attention to what's happening. Because at the moment,
on the side of the
because at the moment you are not paying attention to what's happening.
Absolutely paying attention.
All right.
皆さん動画どうでしたか？全然話が通じていない感じしましたよね。反論できないような正論を投げかけられたら感情に任せて叫び散らす、叫んで話をすり替えて訴える様子をこういう活動家って結構する感じなんですけど、今まで見てきた動画の活動家って全員そういう行動をしてるんで、そういうマニュアルでもあるんですかね。落ち着いていて大人な会話ができる活動家がいたらぜひその議論見てみたいですね。緊急車両の邪魔をする様子は実際に動画に収まっていて、でそれがきっかけで番組に呼ばれたのに、私たちには緊急車両を通すポリシーがあるのって意味不明な嘘ついてて、人を救うためにはこの混乱行為が必要なのって全然意味わかりませんよね。こういう頭のネジの外れた活動家の話を聞いてると、彼らだけでそういう王国を作って住んじゃえばいいのにって思いますけどね。いや、さぞ素晴らしい国になるんでしょうね、その場合。ちなみにアメリカではもうそういうやつは車で引いちゃえばいいんじゃないっていう声が多いですね。では現地の声をいくつか紹介していきますね。There is a whole generation who appear to be of the misconception that by shouting over everybody else and avoiding actually answering valid questions with the factual response, they will get their points across. That's not how it works. Worrying times indeed. I love how these fellas walk into supermarkets and pour milk everywhere and they try and tell you about the food shortages. You couldn't make it up. The problem with the people who think they're virtuous is that there is no line that they will not cross for their cause. Because in their tiny minds, they hold the moral high ground, which insulates them from any accountability. It's so annoying when people can't just say yes or no to a simple question and go into over-explaining mode. The sad thing is this dude is going to spend his entire life complaining about things out of his control while angering thousands of motorists. What a life spent. Look at their eyes. They're a sociopath. They don't feel any empathy for dying people. They only need the reason to express their anger. 彼の意見に呆れた人がほとんどで、賛成する声はほぼ皆無でしたよね。自分がされて嫌なことはやってはいけない。僕は生まれてから日本でこう教わってきたんですけど、彼らのような活動家にはそれを教わらずに育ってきた人が多いようですね。そんなやつ引いちゃえばいいのにっていう声は結構多いんですけど、こんな馬鹿げた活動のせいで命を落とす人がいないように僕は願うばかりです。新チャンネルの頼むぜアメリカでは、このようなマジかよっていう風な欧米ニュースを楽しく取り扱ってます。12月からは頼むぜアメリカのみの配信となりますので、チャンネル登録がまだの方はよかったらチャンネル登録お願いします。では皆さん、良い一日を。